Hello guys and welcome again to the Discord.net bot development series. In this episode we are going to make a lot of changes to our project. I apologize for being away for such a long time. In August when we started the series there was a heat wave. It was like 40 degrees in my room. I really was unable to do anything. And then when the heat wave was gone, school started again, so I wasn't really able to record. But now we're back and we're going to make amazing things. Now the first thing you want to do is you want to go to your browser and open up this link. It will be in the description down below, so you can open it from there and then go to this page. Now I've been working on this page in August to make a nice template for you guys, which we are going to use in the coming episodes, because I made a few mistakes in the previous episode and we're going to go over this, see the changes with the template and the code that we used to have, and we're going to go through how you can use this template for your own project and your own Discord bot. Let's get started. Now the first thing you want to do is you want to go here and click on this green button that says code, and then click on download zip. This is going to download a nice zip file containing all the code. You can open up the zip and then place it somewhere you like. I'm just going to place this on my desktop right here. Close up the zip. You can also rename the folder. It doesn't matter at all. Just give it a name you like and then open it up. Now, as you see inside this folder, there is a solution file. So just double click on that one. And if you haven't just picked this one yet, just select Visual Studio 2019 and also make sure to check always to use this app to open solution files and then press OK. Now Visual Studio will open up this file, and then as you can see we now have the project. If nothing appears here, just double click on one of the files and you'll see some nice code. Now let's go over the changes that happened right here. So the main changes that you notice is that we have a program but no startup service or startup.cs. We just have a program.cs, and that's everything you're going to need. Now let's go over the changes that we have. The first most important thing that we added is Discord add-ons hosting and these 4 Microsoft extensions. Now previously we already used dependency injection, but we also now added these, which are going to help us do some stuff. We also now have an app settings.json, which will contain our prefix and our token, and that's basically it. Now instead of like having multiple things going, like multiple tasks going on here, we only have one asynchronous task that's right here. Now to go over this configuration, what you can see is you can see a builder, which is our host builder, and here we define which configuration the application should use. In this case we're using app settings.json. The next thing is we're configuring our logging, so we're adding the console to the logging and then say that the minimum log level should be debugging. Now when you launch your Discord bot, you can change this, you should change this actually to or error or warning, depending on what you like. But because we're still developing our Discord bot, we're just going to use debugging because we want to debug, see errors and that kind of stuff. The next thing we're doing is we're going to configure our Discord host, and in here you can again select your log severity. You can say always download users, which I have set to true, and you can choose your message cache size. You can change these of course, but for these tutorials we're going to use these options. And then here we provide our token for our bot that the Discord host should use to the context configuration and the token. Now this context configuration is coming from right here. So from the app settings.json file. Then we provide a command service. This is optional. What you can also do is just get rid of this and then say .use a command service like this. If you don't want to provide any options, that's fine. But because I want to provide some options such as case sensitivity, we're just going to stick with this because I don't want to have any case sensitive commands. And the last but not least, we configure our services and we add the command handler to our hosted service. And then finally, we build the host and then use it to run our Discord bot. The thing that's funny is that we went from 2 to 3 files to just make the bot work to just one single file which runs everything within just about 40 lines of code, which is amazing. So this is all you're going to need. The link for this project will be in the description of this video. You can download it just like we did in the start of this video and then use it, because in the coming episodes we're going to use this template. Now in this template there's also a command handler, which is right here, and you can see that everything is private and read-only. We also have our configuration, so we could use the configuration, so the settings that we have right here in our command handler. We have a initialize asynchronous function. Here we're gonna pass our events that we want to work with. We're gonna add it to the modules, and then we also have two separate tasks to handle commands. Now you might ask why we're using two separate tasks, and that's a good question. We use these two separate tasks because we have here said that the client on message received should handle the message. Now the servers, when a command is executed, should handle on command executed. This means that right here, when we say service.execute async, the command is being executed. So when this happens, actually this event is being called, causing this task to run. And this way you can nicely log all errors or anything you want to do with it, depending on how you like it. Then here we also have the module. We have an example module which has a ping command, an echo command, and a math command. Now to test if the bot is working, put your token in your app settings.json, which is something I just did. I put my token of the tutorial bot right there and just press the run button. Now something you might notice is that you're going to get a lot more to see in your console. This is because the logging is way more advanced. People used to, for example, log when a command was executed or when the bot joined the server. And because we now have debugging settings enabled and the highest log level, so everything is being logged, we can actually see all events that happen. So for example, when I go to this channel and I would execute the ping command, it will work, but also log right here that it says director executed the ping command. However, if we go back to the code, the only thing we do here is log information. So it tells the logger that an extra command has been executed. Not only that, if you look closely, you can also see here that it received a message from a channel. Now this is a bit more advanced. You can't do really much with this. This is just from the Discord API, but you can see that a command has been received. Now let's close the CMD and let's continue working on some commands. In the previous episode, we talked about APIs and getting a meme from Reddit. This worked perfectly fine. We made it, and if you want to add it again, you can just copy paste all the code and paste it in this template. However, I am not going to copy paste anything. I'm just going to continue working with this template and we will see if everything works nicely. Now the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to get rid of the logger log information. Why I'm doing this is because I don't really want to see every command that's being executed, especially when, for example, you're planning on launching your bot to the public. Yeah, there's going to be a lot of people executing commands, and to see every single command being executed, it's not something you really want to have. Although if you prefer it, just keep it in there and just press Ctrl Z if you just removed it, but just keep it in there. But for now, we're just going to get rid of it. We're going to continue. Now, one of the most requested things for the tutorial series was events. People want to know how events work. How can I run something when a user joins? How can I run something when I join the server? How can I do this? How can I do that? In this video, we're going to talk about events. How do events work with Discord? Now, to properly run a function when an event is happening, you want to go to your command handler, and in the initialize async, we're going to call the events and then a task that it should run. So let's add two spaces and let's go here. Now the event that I'll be using is client.channel_created plus equals on channel created. Now you might ask, why did you pick channel created and not on user joined or when the bot joins the server? That's because if I want to do that, I will have to switch every time to my browser. I will have to do everything manually. It's going to take a lot of time. You might choose to just change this later when you understand how events work and you can create everything you want. But for now, I want to work with events that I can just do on my own account without switching to another auth's account or creating a new account or whatever. I just want to work with the current account. Now to do this, we're going to use an event that's going to get called when the channel is created. So as you can see, it's now red underlined. Hover over it with your mouse, click on the light bulb and say generate method command handler on channel created. This is going to create a new task. By default, it will be private. That's fine. It's not a really big deal because we're not going to use this anywhere else. But do make sure that it's an asynchronous task. So make it async and also just get rid of this. We don't want to throw any exceptions. And here, as you can see, there is a soccer channel arg. Now the arg that you see here, so the argument that you see here is a soccer channel. The soccer channel is the channel generated by the user. So we can use the channel to say something or do something with it. A simple thing you could do, for example, is say arg. So that's the channel. And then see the arguments. So you might wonder, why is there only created ads, ID and users? That's a good question. These things are only there because this is a soccer channel. We don't know if it's a voice channel or a text channel or something like that. Now a simple way to make sure that this channel is a text channel, we can do if and then the brackets and then again brackets. And then here we're going to say if the argument as a iText channel equals null, return. What this means is if the channel is not an iText channel, it will return and do nothing. But if it is, then what we're going to do here is we're going to say var channel equals arg as iText channel. And now we have a channel that we can send a message to. Next thing that you want to do is you're going to say channel.send message async. The event was called. And then of course don't forget to await it since we're in an asynchronous method. Now run your bot and go to Discord and let's try this. If we make a new channel, call it test, and voila, the event was called. I made a nice typo, but it does work. Great. So the event works. It sends a message to the channel, and I made a nice typo, no longer, but it works. If you try to make a voice channel, it won't work. It will just return because that's something we just did right there. Another thing that we can do, however, is make client.joined and then joined guild plus equals on joined guild. Now this event is called when the bot joins the server. And this is a bit easier for me to do. I can just invite the bot to the tutorial server over and over. So we're going to make a method for this one. We're going to call it private async task on joined guild. And again, as argument, we have a socket guild. Now here what we want to do is you want to grab the default channel, so arg.default channel, and this is most of the time the channel that the user will see when they are invited. You know, you see like a Reels channel or something like that. A lot of bots use this default channel to send a message like, hey, thanks for inviting me to your Discord server, and thanks for using this bot, stuff like that. We're going to use it again to make sure that it works. So we're going to say arg.default channel.send message asynchronous. So we have to add a wait because this is an asynchronous method. Don't forget that. And then between brackets, we're saying, thank you for using my Discord bot. And then don't forget the semicolon. Now, if you run this, bot's gonna host. Now I have to kick my bot from the server. So now I just added the bot back to the server. And if we go back to Discord and we go to the general channel, it says, thank you for using my Discord bot. This is a very simple way of using events to do something with them. If you want to do more, you can literally just search here client and you will get thousands of events. I don't know why there are so many of them, probably because people use them, but there are a lot, and I really mean a lot of events that you can work with. Now the last event I want to use to do some fun with is client.reactionAdded plus equals on reaction added. And you can use this, for example, to give someone a role in your server, or do some fun with it. Doesn't really matter, but you can do something with it that you like. Again, generate a method, make the task that it just generated asynchronous, and here you're going to get a lot of arguments. First things first, you're going to get a message. Now the message is the cached message that the reaction has been added to. Then you also have a message channel, which is argument 2, which is the channel where the reaction has been added to. And last but not least, you have the reaction that has been added. Now what we're going to do is when someone hits the checkmark button on a message, he or she will receive the verified rule. Now how we're going to do this is very simple. The first thing we want to work with or check is if the message that the person added a reaction to is our message that we posted right here. So let's make a new message and say press on the check mark to get verified. Now you want to grab the message ID, so copy ID, go to Visual Studio and say if the argfree.message ID, which is the message ID of the message that the user has added a reaction to, if that does not equal the ID of our message, it should return and do nothing with it. Now, if it is the message that we wanted, we need to see if the emoji matches the checkmark. How we're going to do this is if argument3.emo.name does not equal and then the Unicode character of the checkmark. A simple way of getting that one is go here, press the white checkmark or search for it and place a backslash before it, press enter. Now copy this, go to Visual Studio and paste it right there. So if the emote is not the checkmark, it should again return, do nothing with it. Now the final thing we want to do is you want to search for the rule. So var rule equals, and then here what we're going to do is we want to get the iSocket message channel as a socket guild channel. So what we're going to do here is argument 2 as a socket guild channel. And now what this allows us is to go to the guild, and then within the guild we want to go to roles and then pick the first or default role that has the name or the ID matching our role. Now you could do this based on name, which is fine because we only have one verified role. But for the purpose of just this video and also better practice, if you really want to add one specific role, you should always use the ID. So copy the ID of the role, go to Visual Studio and paste it right there. Well, don't paste it yet, but say x.id should match our ID like this. Now what this is going to do is it will go through all the roles, and the first role that it finds with this ID will be picked and then will be stored in this variable. Now the final thing what we can do is very simple. We can say await and argument3.user as socket guild user, because we want to add something to the user within the server. For example, in this case, the role. So arg3.user as socket guild user.add role asynchronously and then the role. So the reason this is erroring is because the user is in most cases optional. If you hover over this, you can see arg3.user is optional. So what you're going to do here is arg3.user.value instead of just user. This is going to give you the actual user as a socket guild user and then add the role to it. So a quick recap, what we're doing here is we check if the message ID is the message ID of the message that we want. Then we check if the reaction that has been added is the reaction that we want to be added, and if that's true, it will find the role and then add the role to the user that has responded. Now if we run this, go to Discord, as you can see I have the verified role. Let's get rid of it. Now I have no roles except for the testing role, but now if we go to this message and add a check mark to it, I have the verified role. You can also go to the audit logs and you'll see that the tutorial bot gave me the verified role. That's it for this video. I hope you've enjoyed it. In the next episode, we will be working with a database, which allows us to make a lot more custom things. For example, you could give your bot a special prefix in your own server and then another prefix in a different server. But that's all for the next episode. If you've enjoyed this episode, please give a like, and I'll hope to see you in the next episode.